Two men in China had a near-fatal accident when the escalator they were traveling on suddenly started crumbling. The horrifying accident occurred at a shopping mall in the Guangxi city of Wuzhou, China, when the escalator malfunctioned and caused its stairs to collapse. Surveillance footage of the incident shows two men taking the escalator to go up the mall when they supposedly hear some noise coming from the escalator. They turn around to have a look and are shocked to see the moving stairs crumbling behind them. Fortunately, the two men were able to climb up the stairs safely without suffering any injuries. Also see 50 fascinating facts from 50 countries. Did you know dying is banned in a town in Norway? Or that the steepest street in the world is in New Zealand? Here are more such interesting facts from different countries around the world. Sandwiched between Spain and France in the high mountains of the Pyrenees, Andorra is the only co-principality in the world. Unlike a principality, which is ruled by one leader, Andorra is governed jointly by two co-heads of state, neither of whom is from the country, the President of France and the Bishop of Urgell, Spain. The roles, however, are honorary. Pictured, French President Emmanuel Macron, L, with Andorran Prime Minister Antony Marti, C, and Andorran Parliament President Vicente Mateu Zamora at the Élysée Palace, in Paris, France, on July 18, 2017. The Australian coat of arms features a kangaroo and an emu, native animals that cannot walk backwards easily. It is widely believed these were chosen to symbolize a nation moving forward. It is significant as the first Commonwealth coat of arms has the words, "Advance Australia," inscribed on it. The Himalayan country is the only nation in the world to not rely on the gross domestic product (GDP), but the gross national happiness (GNH) to mark their progress. The index measures the citizens' quality of life, health, education and overall development. Based on the country's proposal, the United Nations passed a resolution appointing March 20 of every year as International Happiness Day. The East Ana Liman, pictured in the capital of this tiny Southeast Asian country, has been the world's largest residential palace since 1984. Home to the Sultan of Brunei, it has 1,788 rooms, over 250 bathrooms, a helipad and 5 swimming pools. The doors of the palace are open to the general public only for 3 days a year. During this time, visitors can meet the Sultan and they are given various presents, including a small bag of money for children. The mortar used in the Great Wall of China, one of the new 7 wonders of the world, was made with a paste of sticky rice flour and slaked lime. The sticky rice mortar is so strong in some sections that even wheat does not grow there. The Central Asian country is home to the Darvaza door to hell crater that has been burning since 1971. That year Soviet scientists were drilling for oil and the ground collapsed, leaving a crater 230 feet 70 meters wide. Afraid of the leaking gas being poisonous, they set the crater on fire and it continues to burn to this day. The Magdalen Islands, Isles de la Madeleine, are an archipelago in the Canadian Gulf of St. Lawrence belonging to Quebec. Pictured, coastline of Magdalen Islands, Quebec, Canada. Not only is the South American country's Atacama Desert the driest place in the world, it is also home to one of the world's most expensive ground observatories and the largest radio telescope, known as the Atacama Large Millimeter Array. Due to its isolated location, the desert is one of the best places in the world to conduct astronomical observations. The Mediterranean island is the only country in the world without its own national anthem. It's a bi-national community of Greeks and Turks and they were unable to decide on a national anthem until November 16, 1966, when the Council of Ministers unilaterally agreed to adopt the Greek national anthem, Hymn to Liberty, as their own. Pictured, the national flag of Cyprus, R, and Greece. One of the saltiest water bodies in the world, Lake Assal lies in this Horn of Africa country. It is the lowest point in the entire African continent and the second lowest on Earth, after the Dead Sea. Estonia's Tallinn is the first capital in the European Union to provide free public transport to its citizens. Based on the ancient Coptic calendar, the traditional Ethiopian calendar is 7 to 8 years behind the Gregorian calendar that is followed everywhere else in the world. The country celebrates its new year on September 11th. The Ethiopian year 2011 began in the Gregorian year 2018. The alternate calculation in determining the date of the Annunciation announcement by Angel Gabriel to the Virgin Mary of the birth of Jesus Christ led to the different calendar. Pictured Orthodox Christmas celebration in Lalibela, Ethiopia, on January 7, 2019. Counting overseas territories and dependencies, France covers 12 time zones, the most in the entire world. Its territories include French Polynesia, UTC 10 o'clock, and Wallis and Futuna, UTC plus 12 o'clock. The Yamato dynasty of Japan traces its origins to 660 BC, making them the oldest continuous hereditary monarchy in the world. Emperor Akihito, pictured, the current emperor, is the 125th ruler but is a ceremonial monarch. Pictured, Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, Japan, on December 10, 2018. Without a grass pitch in the entire country, the Football Association of Greenland has been unable to join the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA. Covered in ice for the best part of the year, the sport can be played for only 3 or 4 months. Greenland is, however, a member of the Federation of International Football Independence (FIFA), made up by countries not recognized by FIFA. Pictured, players from local settlements play a match in Ilulissat, Greenland. Even though it is an island, the U.S. territory in the Western Pacific doesn't have any natural sand. All its beaches are made of ground coral, so the island nation makes its roads and asphalt using a mix of that and oil, instead of importing sand from abroad. With only 2% of its forests left standing, Haiti is the most deforested country in the world. The forests were exploited during the colonial period and the process continued unchecked once they gained independence. According to research findings revealed in 2018, 42 of Haiti's 50 largest mountains have lost their green cover, resulting in habitat loss for wildlife. It is the only country in the world that has a musical instrument, a harp, as the national emblem. Going back to the 8th and 9th centuries, harps are represented on Christian crosses. And Trinity College in Dublin has the oldest known harp in existence. The international dateline passes right between the Diomede Islands in the Bering Strait, dividing mainland Alaska from Siberia, Russia. So, standing at Little Diomede, foreground, in the U.S., you can literally look into tomorrow at Russia's Big Diomede, background, at 23 hours ahead. Sometimes, the islands are called Yesterday Island, Tomorrow Island, respectively. The self-governing British Crown dependency, lying between England and Ireland, has the world's oldest continuous parliament. It was set up by the Vikings over 1,000 years ago. The Tynwald, pictured, the Manx Parliament, meets on the third Tuesday of every month. The city of Dubai in this Middle Eastern country is home to the longest driverless metro line. The Dubai Metro Red Line, pictured, which is 32.4 miles (52.1 kilometers) in length, holds the Guinness World Record for this achievement. Known as the country of tiles, Portugal is much like a living museum of tiles with its walls and houses adorned with the azulejo, pictured. The country is also home to a museum dedicated to tiles. The National Tile Museum in Lisbon records the history, artistry and technical evolution of tiles. The Feengrotten or fairy grottos, pictured, in Saalfeld, Germany, are the world's most colorful exhibition mines in the world. Many years ago, miners found black alum shale here. Once the black rock was mined, stalactite formations over the years turned the cave into an underground world colored in shades of brown, ochre, sienna, green and blue. The only country to fall within all 4 hemispheres. This happens because the island country is made of 33 coral atolls and reef islands that are spread throughout the Pacific. The international date line has been moved to ensure the country is not divided by it. After declaring independence from Serbia in 2008, Kosovo became the youngest country in Europe. With nearly half its population under 25, the Southeast European country also has the youngest population on the continent. Tucked away between Switzerland and Austria, the country has the most skewed sex ratio at birth in the world, with 126 males for every 100 females, as of 2016, according to the UN Human Rights Council. For reference, a normal sex ratio at birth is usually around 102 to 106 males per 100 females. A micronation in southern Sweden, the country has no residents and was created in 1980 when artist Lars Vilks started creating multi-towered driftwood sculptures, nimis. The official language has just two words, wall and ip, and the country has two national anthems, one of which is executed when a stone is thrown into the water. More than 260 million bombs were dropped on this Southeast Asian country during the Vietnam War, making it one of the most heavily bombed countries in the world. This is equivalent to a plane load of bombs being dropped every 8 minutes, 24 hours a day, for 9 years continuously. Villages continue to use bombshells in construction and live bombs continue to be found. To date, pictured ogives of bombs are used as a fence in Ho Chi Minh Path, Laos. The world's lowest lying country, this nation in the Indian Ocean has an average ground level of 4 feet and 11 inches, 1.5 meters. At 7 feet and 7 inches, 2.3 meters, its highest point above sea level is the world's lowest naturally highest point. To bring attention to rising sea levels, the country held the world's first underwater cabinet meeting. Pictured in 2009. There were also plans for a fund to buy a new homeland for the country if the island submerges. Just 3/4 of a square mile, this country is almost the same size as Central Park in New York City, New York, U.S. It is also the second smallest country in the world, and the most densely populated. Nearly 70 cats reside in the Hermitage, a Russian museum, and guard it against rodents. The Russian city of St. Petersburg is also home to Europe's largest cat café, the Cat Republic. Pictured. The length and breadth of this Asian country is connected by the largest postal network in the world. In fact, the world's highest post office is located in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. In addition, the city of Srinagar also has a floating post office, complete with a philately museum and stamp shop. The European country is home to Sail Amsterdam, a quinquennial, every 5 years, maritime event, which is largest of its kind in the world. Over 600 tall ships, classic sailing ships, heritage vessels and private ships take part in the event as they sail up the North Sea Canal and dock around Amsterdam. The next event will take place in August 2020. The world's loneliest and most isolated tree used to grow in the middle of the Sahara Desert in this Western African country. The tree of Tenere was the only acacia around for 250 miles, 402 kilometers, and was used as a landmark by travelers until 1973, when a man ran over it with his truck. It was replaced by a spindly metal sculpture. Pictured. In this small South Pacific island nation, coins with Disney, Star Wars and Doctor Who characters are legal tender. In 2015, the country minted the world's first spherical coin. It has engravings of the new 7 wonders of the world and is decorated with Swarovski crystals. These coins are more of collector's items than for use as actual currency. In 1997, the country announced a new calendar based on founding President Kim Il-sung's 1912-1994 portrait. Date of birth, April 15, 1912. The Juche, meaning self-reliance, calendar follows the Gregorian calendar's months and number of days. The steepest residential street in the world is Baldwin Street in Dunedin, New Zealand. The street has a gradient of 35% at its steepest point. Walking up the street can take up to 10 minutes. Since 1950, dying is banned in Longyearbyen, one of the world's northernmost settlements with a sizable permanent population. The town's small graveyard stopped accepting bodies 70 years ago because they wouldn't decompose due to the cold. People approaching death in the city are flown to the mainland for their final days. The southwestern Pacific country is the most linguistically diverse in the world, with over 800 languages spoken, a few of them now extinct and more dying. After gaining independence in 1975, the country adopted 3 official languages: English, Tuk Pisin and Hirimotu. Sign language was added to the list in 2015. Lake Titicaca in southern Peru is the largest in South America by water volume and the highest navigable body of water in the world, with an elevation of 12,507 feet, 3,812 meters. Since 1905, this island country has changed time zones 6 times: 1905 to 32, 7 hours ahead of GMT; 1933 to 41, 20 minutes ahead for daylight savings; 1941-42, 10 minutes further ahead; 1942 to 45, 1 hour and 30 minutes ahead; 1945 to 81, reverted to previous time zone, 7 hours and 30 minutes; and 1981 present, 30 minutes ahead to synchronize with neighboring Malaysia. The Central Asian country entered the Guinness Book of Records in 2011 for having the world's tallest unsupported flagpole. At 541 feet, 165 meters, the Dushanbe flagpole celebrated the 20th anniversary of the country's independence in 2011. The record was broken by Saudi Arabia's Jeddah flagpole in 2014 at 560 feet, 170 meters. The tiny South Pacific island was awarded the TV domain name by the International Organization for Standardization in 1999, and the country negotiated a 12-year $0 million lease with a California company. It became their largest source of income, and Tuvalu used some of that money to join the United Nations. Pictured, Tuvalu's Prime Minister Anneli Sosien-Sopoaga speaks at the United Nations in New York City, New York, U.S., on September 27, 2018. Former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln is an honorary citizen of this landlocked micronation. In a letter dated March 29, 1861, the government of San Marino offered Lincoln honorary citizenship, which he gladly accepted. However, it was only in 2006 that the country appointed an ambassador to the U.S. When Roman sailors discovered this country off the coast of northwestern Africa, they found it overrun by wild dogs. The name of the island has nothing to do with the bird, but was borrowed from the Latin term insula canaria, which means islands of the dogs. The bird was named after the island. In fact, the desert country has no rivers but has riverbeds that intermittently fill up when it rains. The country gets its fresh water from desalination plants and underground reservoirs. The South American country has the highest percentage of land covered by forest, at nearly 93%, making it one of the greenest countries in the world. Its 567,000 residents live mostly along the coast and around the capital, Paramaribo. The northeastern portion of the Sahara Desert extends to this North African country, thus making 90% of the land area desert. It is one of the most arid places in the world, and held the world record for the highest temperature at 136.4 degrees Fahrenheit, 58 degrees Celsius for 90 years before a new record was set in Death Valley, U.S. Tanna Islanders of the South Pacific nation believe Prince Philip, husband to Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh, is the physical representation of one of their spirit ancestors. Followers of the Prince Philip movement believe their god, Prince Philip, will visit and stay with them. The Heladeria Coromodo, an ice cream parlor in Merida, Venezuela, is believed to serve the largest number of ice cream flavors, at nearly 900. A popular tourist destination, Coromodo boasts flavors like hot dog, traditional Venezuelan meal, cognac and mushrooms in wine. The store sells 60 flavors on a given day and changes their lineup seasonally.